Hi, and welcome. For those who don't know me, my name is Ilana King, and I'm an entrance exam specialist. I have a particular interest in specialism with 7+ entrance exams. I'm here today to do a short video to show you one of the techniques that I use when I'm teaching students and that then you will be able to use helping your students. Today, I'm focusing on composition. One part of the 7+ exam is to write a story. And a lot of children of this age find it really tricky to understand how to structure that story. And one of the particular areas of difficulty is actually just carrying a story through from beginning to end in a logical way where it doesn't kind of disappear down a rabbit hole and it makes sense as we go through it. There are lots of different techniques for teaching this, but one of the things that I really like to do in sessions is to move away from paper and pencil. So I use a lot of manipulatives and a lot of discussion. And one of the things that I want to show you today that you can use is story cubes, or story dice as they're known. Now, you can buy these, and the ones I'm going to show you in a minute are ones that I have bought, but if you don't want to buy them, you can make them. There are some templates available online to help you make the dice shape. So if you print them on thicker card paper, and then you can fold them into a dice shape, and you can either, if you're good at drawing, you can draw the pictures on, or if like me, you're absolutely terrible at drawing, then you can use clip art and pictures from online. So you don't have to spend money, but I'm going to show you how to do it with the commercially available dice. And before I show you these dice, I just want to think about why we use story dice. And it's all about engaging children. It's really important at this age, when you are teaching children this young, that you don't rely on pencil and paper in everything that you do, and that you keep them really active and engaged in the session. And what better way to do this than with something you can actually touch and feel and hold? And by doing that, you keep them really, really involved. So I'm going to show you these dice now. So I've got 4 different types now. They're all made by the same company. They're made by a company called, actually, I have no idea, Gamewright, I think it is, and they're called Rory Story Cubes. And there's probably more sets available than I've got here. And no, I don't work for the company. I'm not on commission. I just really love these and I use them a lot. They're in my bag of tricks because I think they're great. So you can see that there's different names on some of them: Voyages, Actions, Fantasia, and I think there are some other sets available. But actually, I'm going to put those to one side, and we're just going to concentrate on the original set. This is the original set of story cubes, the basic set. It comes with 9 cubes, which are inside. I'm going to take those out. And these 9 cubes have a variety of different pictures on them. So it's a standard cube shape, and all around it are different pictures. And they're objects, or they're places, or in some cases, they're animals. They don't really have people on. So there are some sets with people on. The blue Action set has people on, but these ones are more about kind of objects or even emotions you can see on these 2 dice that you can put into the story. So what do you do with these? Well, first of all, they're lovely just to feel. You know, they're really, really tactile. And the first thing that a 6-year-old is going to want to do, or a 5-year-old, is feel them, which is great. Notice there's 9 of them. So I've actually got multiple sets of these that I keep in a little bag, all mixed up together, so we get a bit of variety. But I say that the children need to pick 9. So if you're not sticking with the original 9, don't go with more than 9, because you end up with a story that sort of doesn't make sense and goes on forever. So 9 is a really good number. So there's lots of different ways to use them. I'll tell you first the way I use them, and then we can talk about some other ways as well. So when I use them, I get them all out, let the kids have a look at them. They kind of like to look around all the pictures and see what's on there. And I explain the rules of the game the way that we're going to play it. And we're going to take turns. And on each turn, we'll pick one of these dice, whichever one we want to do. We'll give it a roll, and whatever lands at the top that we can see needs to be brought into the story. And I always give them a choice. Do they want to go first, or do they want me to go first? And in this case, I'm going to go first, and I would start the story. And I might start it. I'm looking at that sheep and I'm thinking, and I'm going to say, on a beautiful green field in the middle of a farm, Sammy the sheep was eating grass. Something as simple as that, okay? Just one sentence. And then I invite them to choose a dice, and they're going to choose their dice and they're going to roll it. And I'll line this one up because that's one we've done. And goodness me, it's a mobile phone. So they need to then continue the story about Sammy the sheep in the field, but they need to bring that phone into the story. So, you know, they might continue on in a very simple way. Usually they'll say something like, and a phone rang. Okay, now don't worry that this is not a great sentence. It's not, you know, it's not something that they're going to write and get a lot of points for in the exam. But what you're doing is you're modeling for them. So, you know, you're never going to correct them. You're never going to say, oh, well, let's, you know, change that sentence. That's their sentence. They take ownership of it, and that's great. Okay, so that's fine. So you're going to follow on from whatever they've just said, and you're going to roll another dice, and you're going to see what you can do. But what you want to do at this point is show them how you can take the narrative forward and really develop it in a way that they obviously weren't doing as well. So we're going to do this house next. The ringing was coming from the farmhouse, and Farmer Bob quickly answered the phone. It was Sam, who was going to tell him all about the upcoming sheep competition. So I did 2 sentences there. That's fine. Sometimes when they're talking very short sentences, you might need to draw the story on to an exciting point for them as they continue. And you would keep going back and forth and back and forth. Yeah, some children are going to literally give you only those very short sentences that don't really develop the story. That's okay, because the more you do this, you're demonstrating for them how to draw this narrative on. Sometimes they get stuck. I mean, you might end up with them rolling a pyramid like this, and they have no idea how to bring that pyramid into the story. And it's a tricky one, and that's okay. And you can give them some ideas and give them some hints about how you would go forward. Whenever we get them to the end and there's 2 dice left, I always say, okay, there's 2 left. So we're going to need to bring this story to an end. How are we going to end it? And I'm trying to get them to see that now is not the point to bring in something exciting. We need to kind of draw it to a conclusion. So all the way through playing this game, I'm talking a little bit about the fact that we've got the beginning, we've got a middle, what's exciting that's going to happen in the middle, where they end up at this pyramid, and we're talking about an ending. This game will only take about 5 minutes. You can throw it in at the beginning of a session. You can play it again partway through the session. It breaks up the session with something quite fun. So this isn't the only way of doing it. There are lots of other ways, but here's another way I'm going to show you. Get them to take a whole lot of dice. It's handy if you've got like a little bag or something, because it's a lot of dice for 2 small hands. They roll them, and you're just going to line them up. So they've rolled all 9 dice. You're going to just turn them around in, you know, whichever one is next, not really thinking about it, whichever one is next. Okay. We then have the entire story laid out for us. And this is really good if you need to be focusing on beginnings, middles, and ends, because before you begin the story, you can look at the middle and think, a key. Yeah, that's quite interesting, exciting. You can get a little bit of discussion going about what's going to happen with that key. Maybe it's a magic key. And you've talked about that before you ever begin the story. So then when we go back to the beginning, we've got a nice tree there, which is good for our setting and our weather. We can then think about how is that story going to progress from beginning to end. It gives that structure again. Are you going to end up with any really worthy stories with fantastic sentences that they're going to be able to write out? No, that's not the aim. The aim here is thinking about structure in a fun way that takes it away from the paper. So maybe you're thinking, okay, but these are probably quite expensive. I don't want to use these dice. Or maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, I do online sessions. So how can I make this work for online sessions? Well, I just showed you one way, because I've got an extra camera attached to my laptop here that allows me to change the view to my desk, and you can roll the dice. Obviously, the children aren't going to be able to touch them at that point, which is a little bit of a shame, because obviously it's nice for them to be able to feel them, and it's nice and tactile. But it still works. It's still different to writing on paper. So it's a really good activity for that. But if you're doing online sessions, there are also online versions of these dice, not made by the same company. So if you just Google sort of interactive virtual story dice, you'll come up with some where you then can share your screen. and you click a button to roll the dice. It doesn't roll them individually. It rolls either you choose 9 or you choose 6, I think it is, and you roll them all at once. And if you're doing it that way, it's like you can decide to use them all lined up like I just did for that story, or you can say you choose one of these dice, which one you want to continue the story with, and go on from there. So there's lots of different ways of doing it. They don't all involve having to pay out for anything, but it's really worthwhile even just investing in one set of these story dice. I invested in these a long time ago. I think they, the first set probably cost me in the region of 11 or 12 pounds, and years and years and years. They don't wear out, these dice. So you will get a huge amount of use out of them. They're really easy to just throw in your bag and take to a session. If you're going to use them, great. If you're not, doesn't matter. They don't take up a lot of space. They're not especially heavy. They're a great one to pull out if you've got a really reluctant child who just needs a break from what they're doing, or you need an icebreaker at the beginning of a session. But they do actually teach as well. So it's not just about fun. We've always got to be thinking about using time wisely in a session. So we don't want to be wasting time by playing a game that doesn't actually teach anything, but this game does. And there are so many different ways to adapt it. So I hope that you found that useful, and you're going to be able to take that forward into your teaching sessions and put this into practice with the young children that you work with for entrance exams. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.